Here's your wrestling news for July 3rd, 2022. And we're kicking off today with Money in the Bank as a new male superstar now holds the also-important briefcase. The match saw Riddle, Seth Rollins, Sheamus, Sami Zayn, Omos, Drew McIntyre, and Madcap Moss compete, but there was an eighth mystery opponent. Before the match started, Adam Pearce announced that Theory would also be taking part as the commentary team speculated that this was Mr. McMahon's doing. Theory had lost the United States title earlier in the night, but ended the show on a high, capturing the men's briefcase after knocking Riddle off the ladder. With his win, Theory joins an elite list who are undefeated in the iconic ladder match, alongside Brock Lesnar, Big E, Braun Strowman, and Bayley. Now Theory has a guaranteed undisputed WWE Universal Championship match for any time of his choosing, and while Roman Reigns has dispatched all of his opponents so far in his epic reign, it's the young Theory who now has the advantage. Last night's show also saw the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, which was captured by Liv Morgan. Outlasting her opponents, Morgan got her biggest win in WWE to date by grabbing the briefcase, but had an even bigger win hours later. Following Ronda Rousey's win over Natalya to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship, Morgan wasted no time in cashing in and captured the title previously held by the baddest woman on the planet. At one point, it looked like Morgan would be the first woman to fail to cash in, as Rousey put her in an ankle lock, but Liv powered through and quickly got the pinfall win to become the champion. The new and former champions hugged after the match in a sign of respect, and Morgan was given the time to celebrate her first title win in WWE. Once again, WWE have wasted no time in having a woman cash in Money in the Bank, and we'll have to see how the Liv Morgan era goes from here. Morgan's wins last night were huge moments for her, and it was huge for the fans as well, many of whom felt the title victory was a long time coming. One fan noted how Morgan has been with WWE for 7 years and never stopped believing in herself, while another Twitter user by the name Live2Riot said it was their happiest day as a wrestling fan. One fan tweeted that this was a brilliant decision by WWE, as the new SmackDown Women's Champion certainly has a ton of support on her side. Morgan stood tall in the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, but one woman who was left worse for wear is Shotzi. During the match, the former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion suffered a bloody injury during the Money in the Bank event opener. Shotzi looked to hit a senton on Becky Lynch but took a bump to the back of her neck, and cameras saw her covered in blood later on. It appeared as though the move itself was completely missed, and the back of her head and neck instead hit the ladder and took the most impact. Despite the injury, Shotzi was able to continue the match, but struggled towards the end when it appeared as though she had suffered a concussion. As of this time, WWE have yet to reveal the extent of Shotzi's injuries, but we're certainly hoping for the best after this difficult performance. More for Money in the Bank now, as Theory may have walked away with the men's briefcase, but that doesn't appear to have been the original plan. WWE has had to change a lot of plans for the show, including moving to a smaller venue due to low ticket sales, and it turns out that the company had a much different winner in mind. Prior to the show, a source in Vegas told WrestleVotes that the show fans were about to see was a far cry from Cody winning the briefcase in an NFL stadium. It appears that the original plan was for Cody Rhodes to become Mr. Money in the Bank, though of course that plan changed due to his injury. This show was meant to happen inside Allegiant Stadium, but that wasn't the case, and while many expect Rhodes to one day be a WWE World Champion, his big win went to Theory instead. Money in the Bank didn't just see in-ring action, but also a mysterious vignette that has had a lot of fans talking. The dark promo package set in a church saw a mysterious figure surrounded by various images, and fans wasted no time in speculating who it'll be. Given that a medal was flashed at one point, some believe the vignette is for Gable Steveson, though the idea of the Olympian debuting as a dark gothic character seems odd. Another theory was that this was the return of Bray Wyatt, who certainly fits the dark motif, but much of the iconography around the mystery man had nothing to do with the Fiend. However, Fightful reports that the vignette is for the returning Edge, which makes a lot of sense when examining the video. Edge recently embraced a more gothic character with the Judgment Day this year, and several images related to past feuds of the Rated R superstar. The video included the Hardy Boys armbands, the Dudley's table, an Eddie Guerrero Latino Heat license plate, and the medal, which could be in reference to Kurt Angle. It is to be seen when and how Edge returns, but the Hall of Famer is on his way back after being taken out by the Judgment Day. Now, as we mentioned earlier, Bobby Lashley captured his third United States title at Money in the Bank 2022, but his win over Theory did not come without some botches. These botches didn't come from Lashley or Theory themselves, but instead from the WWE on Fox Twitter account, who posted the results after the bell. At least they were supposed to tweet that the Almighty was the new United States Champion, but instead tweeted that Lashley was the new Intercontinental Champion. Not only did they make this mistake, but after noticing a botch in the hashtag, they tweeted that Lashley was the new IC Champion again, but with the correct hashtag. Post-match, Lashley tweeted his own celebratory message, of which he made it clear that he's the United States Champion, despite what multiple botched tweets from WWE would have you believe. Even without Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, or Brock Lesnar on the show, Money in the Bank saw plenty of big names appear, but one of the biggest names was happy to not get in the ring. Prior to the show starting, Fightful Select reported that WWE President Nick Khan was not just at the event, but sat in the front row and spoke with talent ahead of the event. Khan wasn't even the most important person in attendance, as WWE CEO and interim chairwoman Stephanie McMahon was also at the show and hosted a talent meeting of her own before Money in the Bank. WrestleVotes noted that McMahon discussed a multitude of topics, and a source said the meeting was generally well received. Stephanie is filling in for her father, who is currently facing an investigation related to an alleged affair and $3 million hush money payout, and we can only imagine what came up when Stephanie spoke to her employees. Back to the ring, as the Usos retained their undisputed WWE Tag Team titles at Money in the Bank, but defeated the Street Profits in a controversial way. Towards the end of the match, the Usos planted Montez Ford with the 1D, but when Jimmy Uso got the pinfall win, it was clear that Ford's shoulders were off the mat. Given that WWE made reference to this in a tweet, it seems that this was an intentional error on behalf of the referee, and expect a rematch between these two teams in the near future. Money in the Bank saw Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair defeat Carmella, who was a substitute in this feud for Rhea Ripley. Ripley's recent injury forced WWE to change plans, but Carmella isn't finished with the EST despite her defeat. Post-match, Carmella took her loss poorly, attacking Belair and laying her out, showing that this feud isn't over. It's possible that Ripley's injury is worse than first thought, hence why WWE are extending the Belair-Carmella story, and whatever the case, the Staten Island Princess remains on the hunt for the Raw Women's Championship. And we're ending today with Sasha Banks, who may or may not be with WWE. It was reported that the boss was quietly released some weeks ago, but neither she nor WWE have confirmed those reports. Banks, unsurprisingly, wasn't at Money in the Bank, but in a surprising move, her name was uttered on commentary. During a spot in the middle of the women's ladder match, Corey Graves accidentally called Shotzi Sasha before quickly correcting himself. WWE has been avoiding mentioning Banks since she and Naomi walked out on the May 16th Raw nearly 2 months ago now. Ironically, it was Graves who earned the heat of fans that night by saying Banks and Naomi had acted unprofessionally by walking out, a line dictated to him by WWE themselves, but last night saw Banks' name come up in a way the company didn't want. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.